Imagine you're standing at the edge of a lake, and a wild otter swims up to you dragging something behind it. Not a fish, not a stick, a pup, barely moving, tangled in a loop of old fishing net. The mother otter doesn't flee. She parks herself a few feet away and just watches you, like she's waiting for you to do something about it. That sounds like a one-off nature documentary moment. It isn't. Cats do it, dolphins do it, crows do it, elephants do it. Completely unrelated species, on completely different continents, keep making the exact same decision. When their baby is in danger, they hand it to us, not to another animal, to the species that has spent 10,000 years hunting them. Here's why that should not be happening. Every wild animal on Earth is running on the same basic operating system. Strangers are dangerous, and anything that smells like a predator gets kept far away from the kids. Humans check every box for predator. We're loud, we're everywhere, and our species' resume includes deforestation, fishing nets, and a truly impressive amount of chasing things with sticks. By the numbers, a wild animal should treat a human the way you'd treat a stranger jiggling your doorknob at 3 a.m. Instead, over and over, across species that share almost no biology and no history, we get picked, specifically picked, at the exact moment the stakes are highest. And it's not just a handful of viral clips either. Once researchers started actually cataloging these cases side by side, the same shape kept showing up: a vulnerable, specific offspring, a specific human already known to the animal or its group, and a moment where every other option had already failed. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern with a mechanism behind it. So let's actually take this apart, because it isn't one explanation. It's several, stacked on top of each other. Start with the animal most of you already live with: the cat. Outdoor and feral cat colonies have a well-known habit of delivering kittens, sometimes hurt, sometimes just born, to one very specific human. Not the whole street, one person. Usually the one who left food out, or once pulled a thorn out of a stray's paw and has been paying for it in kittens ever since. Cats are quietly running a background check on every person they encounter. Who's calm? Who's predictable? Who shows up with food instead of a broom? Once you clear enough of those checks, you stop being filed under threat and start being filed under something closer to trusted colony member. And trusted colony members get access to the kittens. Now, push that further into dogs, and it gets almost tender. A mother dog who trusts her person will sometimes carry newborn puppies over one at a time and set them down at that person's feet, like she's making a delivery she's proud of. That's not random affection. Dogs and humans have spent roughly 15,000 years running the same cooperative care operation, splitting food, splitting protection, splitting the job of watching the kids. Somewhere in dog psychology, humans got filed under pack member with opposable thumbs, and pack members get the puppies. It's not a glitch, it's the entire point of the arrangement. And that same wiring leaks outward even into animals nobody ever domesticated. Wolves, coyotes, foxes living near long-running feeding stations or low hunting areas start showing weirdly low fear around specific people. The same soft trust you'd expect from a dog, built the slow way, one non-threatening encounter at a time. It's worth sitting with how strange that actually is. A coyote isn't rewarded evolutionarily for lowering its guard around the species most likely to trap or shoot it. And yet, in the handful of places where humans have consistently chosen not to do that, the coyote's threat model quietly updates anyway. Trust, it turns out, isn't reserved for animals we deliberately bred to give it to us. It's available to anyone willing to put in the years. Cats and dogs at least grew up next to us. Dolphins and whales did not. And their version of this is honestly stranger. Fishermen and researchers have documented mother whales positioning an injured calf directly beside a boat, holding still and waiting, like she's saying, "Your turn. Do the thing you do." Marine biologists point to the obvious reason: these animals already run pods built on shared babysitting and coordinated rescue. If your brain is already wired to notice this, one needs help and that one over there can give it. Stretching that recognition across a species line isn't actually that large a leap. Birds do their own version of this, and crows are the standout. Crows can recognize individual human faces for years, hold a grudge against someone who wronged them, and extend something close to loyalty to someone who helped them. A verdict that apparently gets passed down to their own chicks before those chicks ever meet the human in question? That's not just personal trust anymore. That looks a lot like inherited trust, one generation quietly handing the next one a pre-approved list. Then there's the one that hits hardest: elephants. Elephant herds have been documented approaching specific rangers or sanctuary workers with an injured or orphaned calf and simply waiting, sometimes for hours, for help to arrive. Elephants can hold on to a memory of a specific helpful human for a literal decade, greeting them again after years apart like the relationship never paused. If a brain can hold a debt of gratitude that long, handing over a calf to that exact person during a crisis stops sounding strange and starts sounding like the obvious move. Primates close the loop. Chimpanzee and bonobo troops near long-term research stations have brought injured infants toward familiar researchers, which makes sense once you know primates already practice alloparenting, letting aunts, older siblings, and proven reliable non-parents help raise the young. Extending that same courtesy to a calm, predictable human observer isn't a huge cognitive stretch. It's just adding one more name to a list that was never restricted to family in the first place. Notice what all four of these groups have in common: strong memory, real social complexity, and a track record, even a short one, of low conflict contact with a specific person. That's not a coincidence either. It's basically the recipe. Take away any one ingredient, and the behavior stops showing up. So, what's actually driving all of this underneath? A few overlapping mechanisms. First, scent. Humans carry a specific recognizable chemical signature, somewhere between soap, sweat, and whatever we ate for lunch, and animals with strong scent memory can file that signature under safe, the same way they'd file a known member of their own group. Once you're filed there, you can apparently stay filed there for years off just a handful of encounters. Second, we're weirdly good at reading distress. Research suggests the pitch and urgency of distress calls share enough structure across mammal species that humans instinctively respond even to a call we've never heard before. A crying infant and a whimpering injured animal trigger a strangely similar reaction in us: faster heartbeat, immediate attention, the urge to go check. If animals have clocked over generations that we respond to vulnerability with help instead of aggression, that reputation becomes something worth cashing in on, even across species lines. Third, and less flattering, sometimes this isn't trust at all. It's desperation. A mother facing a predator, a flooded den, or an injury she can't fix might just be aiming her baby at the nearest large, slow-moving, non-predator smelling shape around. And that shape is regularly us. Even then, the animal's brain is still making a real risk calculation. And approach the human keeps beating out every other option available in a crisis. That still says something. There's also a real theory behind this called the human safe haven hypothesis. Across several unrelated species, individual animals can form something structurally similar to an attachment bond with a specific person, and animals with that bond actively seek that person out under stress, the same way a scared toddler runs toward a parent instead of away in a random direction. One important caveat: none of this is universal. Heavily hunted or persecuted populations show zero version of this behavior. It shows up almost exclusively where there's a long history of low conflict coexistence, or a specific positive memory of one particular human. Animals aren't trusting humanity in general. They're trusting you, specifically, the one who moved slowly and didn't scream last time. And it compounds. A parent's calm reaction to one crisis seems to lower the baseline fear response in offspring who weren't even there for it. A kind of trust passed down like a family recipe. Every generation either adds a little more evidence to the file or starts the whole thing over from zero, depending entirely on how we behave in between. Here's the part that should feel familiar, because you run this exact system yourself. You don't hand your kid your spare key or your emergency contact slot to a random stranger either. You run a background check first, often without noticing you're doing it. Who's shown up reliably? Who stayed calm in a crisis? Who didn't flake the one time it actually mattered? Neighborhoods, friend groups, even entire brands survive or collapse on that same accumulated case file, one small proof point at a time. The wild animals bringing us their babies aren't doing anything mystical. They're running the same trust ledger we all run, just across a species gap that, on paper, should have made trust impossible. And it cuts both ways, the same way it does with people. Rangers and researchers who've had a mother animal hand them an injured calf often describe it as one of the most meaningful moments of their careers, proof that years of slow, patient, unglamorous work actually meant something to the other side. Some conservation programs now track these moments seriously, not as cute footage, but as an informal report card on how a whole region of humans has been behaving toward its wildlife. So, no, animals don't hand us their babies because we've earned some blanket trust from the whole animal kingdom. Our track record is way too messy for that. It's because one slow approach, one bowl of food, One calm response to something wild and scared at a time, some of us keep passing the test. And when the stakes are highest, that ledger gets cashed in. If this kind of deep dive into why we do what we do is your thing, subscribe, because this is exactly what we dig into every episode.